Hello and welcome to the Guarantee Network. We cover stories that are interesting to our viewers, and we deliver content with detailed analysis. Please like and subscribe to our channel. It helps the algorithms, and we are grateful that you are a part of the Guarantee community. Now, without further ado, let's get right into the video. Salvatore Maranzano, born on July 31st, 1886, nicknamed Little Caesar, was an Italian-American mobster from the town of Castellammare del Golfo, Sicily, and an early Cosa Nostra boss who led what later would become the Bonanno crime family in New York City. He instigated the Castellammare's War in 1930 to seize control of the American mafia, winning the war after the murder of rival faction head Joe Masseria in April 1931. He then briefly became the mafia's capo di tutti capi, boss of all bosses, and formed the Five Families in New York City, but was murdered on September 10, 1931, on the orders of Charles "Lucky" Luciano, who established the Commission, in which families shared power to prevent future turf wars. Early years. Salvatore Maranzano was the youngest of 12 children born to Domenico Maranzano and Antonina Pisciata. 5 of his siblings lived to adulthood: Mariano, Angelo, Niccolo, Giuseppe, and Angela. As a youngster, Maranzano had wanted to become a priest and even studied to become one, but later became associated with the mafia in his homeland. Maranzano had a very commanding presence and was greatly respected by his underworld peers. He had a fascination with Julius Caesar and the Roman Empire and enjoyed talking to his less educated American mafia counterparts about these subjects. Because of this, he was nicknamed Little Caesar by his underworld peers. Maranzano emigrated from Sicily to the United States in the 1920s, settling in Brooklyn. The Sicilian mafioso Don Vito Ferro decided to make a bid for control of mafia operations in the United States. From his base in Castellammare del Golfo, Maranzano was sent to seize control. While building a legitimate business as a real estate broker, Maranzano also maintained a growing bootlegging business, using the real estate company as a front for his illegal operations. He soon became involved in prostitution and the illegal smuggling of narcotics. He also took a liking to a young Joseph Bonanno and became his mentor. Castellammare's War. To protect the criminal empire that Maranzano had built up, he declared war on his rival Joe Masseria, the boss of all bosses, in 1930, starting the Castellammare's War. In early 1931, Lucky Luciano decided to eliminate his boss, Masseria. In a secret deal with Maranzano, Luciano agreed to engineer Masseria's death in return for receiving Masseria's rackets and becoming Maranzano's second-in-command. On April 15th, Luciano invited Masseria and 2 other associates to lunch in a Coney Island restaurant. After finishing their meal, the mobsters decided to play cards. At that point, according to mob legend, Luciano went to the bathroom. 4 gunmen, Vito Genovese, Albert Anastasia, Joe Adonis, and Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, then walked into the dining room and shot and killed Masseria. With Maranzano's blessing, Luciano took over Masseria's gang and became Maranzano's lieutenant. Boss of all bosses. With Masseria gone, Maranzano reorganized the Italian-American gangs in New York City into the Five Families, headed by Luciano, Joe Profaci, Tommy Gagliano, Vincent Mangano, and himself. Each family would have a boss, underboss, capos, soldiers, and associates. The families, made men, would be composed of only full-blooded Italian-American members, while associates could come from any background. However, Maranzano called a meeting of crime bosses in Wappingers Falls, New York, and declared himself Capo dei Capi, boss of all bosses. Maranzano also whittled down the rival families' rackets in favor of his own. Luciano appeared to accept these changes, but was merely biding his time before removing Maranzano. Although Maranzano was slightly more forward-thinking than Masseria, Luciano had come to believe that Maranzano was even greedier and more hidebound than Masseria had been. Maranzano's scheming, his arrogant treatment of his subordinates, and his fondness for comparing his organization to the Roman Empire. He attempted to model the organization after Caesar's military chain of command, did not sit well with Luciano and his ambitious friends such as Vito Genovese, Frank Costello, and others. Despite his advocacy for modern methods of organization, including crews of soldiers doing the bulk of a family's illegal work under the supervision of a capo regime, at heart Maranzano was a mustache Pete, an old-school mafioso too steeped in old-world ways. He was opposed to Luciano's partnership with Jewish gangsters such as Meyer Lansky and Benjamin Bugsy Siegel. Luciano and his colleagues had intended all along to bide their time before getting rid of Maranzano. Death. By September 1931, Maranzano realized Luciano was a threat and hired Mad Dog Call, an Irish gangster, to kill him. However, Tommy Lucchesi alerted Luciano that he was marked for death. On September 10th, Maranzano ordered Luciano and Genovese to come to his office at the New York Central Building, now the Helmsley Building, at 230 Park Avenue in Manhattan. Convinced that Maranzano planned to murder them, Luciano decided to act first. He sent to Maranzano's office 4 Jewish gangsters whose faces were unknown to Maranzano's people. They had been secured with the aid of Lansky, Siegel, and Gambino. Disguised as government agents, 2 of the gangsters disarmed Maranzano's bodyguards. The other 2, aided by Lucchesi, who was there to point Maranzano out, stabbed the boss multiple times before shooting him. This assassination was the first of what would later be called the Night of the Sicilian Vespers. Although there would have been few objections had Luciano declared himself capo di tutti capi, he abolished the title, believing the position created trouble among the families and would make himself a target for another ambitious challenger. Luciano subsequently created the Commission to serve as the governing body for organized crime. Maranzano died on September 10, 1931, and is buried in St. John's Cemetery, Queens, New York, near Luciano's grave. Thank you for watching. Please come back for more exciting and informative videos. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for your support and liking our channel.